Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Stephen Cheever's Mindtrip. I appreciate you tuning in as always. I want to start this episode by asking you a question. Are you searching for the secret to transforming your sales funnel with leads that are not just interested but ready and eager to buy? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you're going to love this episode because that's what we're talking about today. I want to give you the master key to finding qualified leads. Okay, so I'm going to get into some strategies behind identifying and capturing qualified leads. And I want to draw on my own wealth of experience from a career that spanned many industries before I actually became a sales coach. So let's dive into it. One of the first things that you really need to work on and think about is, what is your ICP? And if you don't know what ICP stands for, it stands for Ideal Customer Profile. Okay. We need to think about creating that, okay? And you may have heard this term before, likes of an avatar or something along those lines about like, who is it that you're actually looking for? Because what ends up happening a lot of the times when you're desperate for sales is you just go after anyone and everything, especially if you work in like a cold calling environment where you're just calling a list, right? We really need to look into like, who is the actual customer profile for us? And if you don't actually have one, you just work with anyone and everyone, that's probably doing yourself a disservice and your business a disservice, because if you don't have a niche or an avatar or an ideal customer profile created, like, who are you speaking to? I mean, I heard a quote years and years ago. It's like, when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And that is very true. Once you start like angling in, especially if you're creating social media content or anything like that, you start angling into a very specific type of person, okay? You may get less reach, but those people are going to tune in. And I'd rather have 5,000 followers of my perfect ideal customer than 500,000 followers of just random people. And maybe some of my customers are in there and maybe some aren't. This is an issue as well that women can have, because especially if they're very attractive and they create a profile around being beautiful, holiday pictures, that type of thing. I'm not saying, ladies, you can't do that, but you're attracting thirsty men into your followers. So you often see, especially in likes of fitness profiles and things like that, women that have enormous followers. And even though they maybe only work with other women, like half of their following is men. So actually, like, even having like 50,000 followers there, really only 25,000 of those followers are even potential customers, and they may not even be the ideal customer that you're looking for. Okay, so there is really an importance of deeply understanding who your ideal customer is up front. Okay, you want to analyze market data. You want to take your own customer feedback to craft that comprehensive profile. And you want to ensure that your sales efforts are targeted effectively at that person. Okay, so if you're just marketing to everyone and anyone, it's you're going to get some customers in there, but like when you go super broad, like I said, you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. So I would spend a lot of time, if I were you, creating that ideal customer profile, really working out like, who is your avatar or niche or whatever way you want to word it, right? Okay. So are they male? Are they female? Or do you work with both? Okay. What is their age range, right? Because realistically, if you're selling a high ticket product, you're not wanting to deal with like 18-year-olds that don't have money. That's a generic sort of look at it, general. Some 18-year-olds got money, some 18-year-olds got rich parents, some 18-year-olds who got an inheritance, right? But for the most part, they're not in a position of their life where they have like a great job that they can be paying high ticket services, okay? So what is the age range you want to operate in? Maybe you're working in low ticket, so age range like that doesn't matter. Like if you're selling a product that's like $150, then yeah, any 18-year-old could afford that, right? So really think about that. Like, can this age range actually afford this? Okay. Then you want to think even on a deeper level, how does that person behave on a week-to-week basis? Okay. Like, what's important in their life? Do they play pickleball? Do they like fast cars? Do they wear a Rolex? Do they do that? Like, think about, like, actually create that person in your head, that ideal customer, create it in your head, write it down. Okay. They're a man, they're between the ages of 25 and 40. They like Rolexes, they like Ferraris, they like this, they like that. Build that customer out until you're actually looking at them on a piece of paper and you're like, I can see this person. Okay. I know everything about them. Okay. And once you've done that, then you can aim all your marketing specifically at that person, okay? So your entire marketing message and your sales efforts can be targeted effectively at that specific person, okay? There is no point if you're selling like a ultra high ticket product, or let's say even like using cars as an example there, or Rolexes, Rolex is not advertising to 18-year-olds. It's not advertising to broke people. Same as Ferrari, they're advertising to a specific section of the market. There's no point in them advertising to everyone because only 5% of people on earth probably can actually afford their product. It might even be less than that. Okay, so you've got to make sure you do that with your own marketing as well. Like, don't just be putting out videos out there or emails that just like that apply to everyone. Apply it to your ideal customer profile. Apply it to that guy, okay? Because that is where you want to put all your effort. Again, if I was taking sales calls, I'd rather take 10 sales calls with like, really like dialed in people that are my ideal customer type than have 50 in the diary and it's just a mix mash of everyone and you're just rolling the dice. Because I guarantee your close rate will be significantly higher on those 10 than it's going to be on those 50, okay? And sorry, when I say close rate, I don't mean a percentage because that makes it easier if you get a lot of sales. I mean, I actually think you'll do more sales out of those 10 people than you would out of 50 randomers, okay? So again, you got to manage your time effectively with that stuff too. So creating an ideal customer profile is going to make a big, big, big difference for you, okay? Now I want to pivot on to something I kind of talked about there, which is your social media. Social media is the ultimate lead generation tool now, okay? There are people in their early 20s that have nailed TikTok that are fucking millionaires already. I wish when I was in my early 20s, like TikTok and Instagram Reels and all that type of stuff had have existed, because there's so many ways I would have got into business way sooner than I did if I had those tools, right? Those tools are available to everyone now. And the fact that so many young people have just grabbed onto that and they're creating incredible lives. Like I'm seeing like 20-year-olds driving Lamborghinis and shit like that. And it's like, fuck. Like even at 32, I'm jealous of those motherfuckers because they have just fucking nailed it, right? So you need to nail it too. And as much as I actually personally hate using social media, it is the ultimate lead generation tool. So the potential of social media platforms like Instagram and identifying leads that fit your ideal customer profile, right? There's different things that you can do once you built up a following of your ICP that can branch out and get in front of even more people. So a really great tool that Instagram has and Meta ads as a whole is if you have built like a decent following or a decent mail list, okay, of your ICPs, okay, now they need to be your ICPs. If they're just randomers, it's not going to work. But once you've got like a following of like really like dialed in people that are your niche, right? You can boost your posts, you can do, ads, and you can target people just like the people that already follow you. Okay, so when you boost a post on Instagram, it'll say automatic targeting, right? What that does is it looks at your following and then it just goes for other people like them. Okay, so you can get yourself in front of more people. They're going to then binge watch your content. They're going to follow you. Now you've got another lead, right? And you want to make sure as well that whenever those people come to your page, that your Instagram is set up in the most perfect way for them to understand what it is you do, how you can help them, and how they can buy from you. Okay, so the first thing is you want to have your bio set up in a specific format. You want to have some kind of authority statement. You also, you want to point out like who it is you help, who it is you don't help, because if they're looking at that, they might say, oh, this guy works with men that are 25 to 30. I'm 60 years old. I'm not going to follow this dude, right? It's going to bring the right people in and put the wrong people off, which is what we want. Like I said, you want to have an authority statement in there. So it's like, I've helped over 100 people do X. This is how you get in touch with me. You want to drive them to your DMs. And then you want to have maybe like a link that goes to like some free downloads where you can collect their mail list and things like that. As well as that, you want to have pinned posts at the top. You want them to be able to scroll through different pinned posts of you that show them, what it is you do, how you help people, why they can trust you, and have some testimonials, okay? If you have that pinned to the top of your page, they can flick through that. They can understand who you are. They can understand what it is you do. They can see testimonials. That's going to help them buy into you even more, okay? And then if you do reach out, whether it's an outbound or you set up something that causes them to raise their hand and you can get speaking to them, they're already kind of like in your universe. They already know that you can potentially help them or not help them. And that just speeds things up for you. So it's going to create you more leads as well. And then from there, there's different tactics. Like I said, you can outbound every new follower you get. You can, put stuff up on your stories, asking for people to raise their hand. There's different things that you can do there to just generate leads just off that one social media platform. So social media is huge, but you've got to, again, like I said, you got to have that ICP dialed in, because if you're just creating like really broad content, yes, you're going to get a lot of followers. If you're doing it right, yes, you're going to get a lot of reach, but you're going to get the wrong type of followers. You're going to get the wrong type of reach if you're being super broad. Now, in saying that, there'll probably be some social media coaches that'll listen to this at some point and categorically disagree, because I have heard social media coaches say this before, that you should go ultra broad with your hook, and you should go ultra broad with like this, this, and this, and then niche it down as the video continues, because then what's going to happen is it gets incredible reach, and more of your niche you're going to actually get pulled in just as a result of you having greater niche. And I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's a great tactic, is to go super broad with your hook to help get more reach, because more people are going to watch it. But you definitely want to, as time goes on through the video, become more and more and more niched, to cause the people that aren't part of your ICP to drop off. Okay, so that's all I would say about that. So I'm not in disagreement with that, but you just want to make sure that your content isn't just the whole video is broad, every video is broad, because it's just going to attract the wrong people. Like I've seen, clients come to us from other programs in my fitness business mentorship program. They've come from, competitors, things like that. They've got huge followings, like 30,000, 50,000, 100,000. We've had people come to us with enormous followings, and they're making like 5K a month. I've even had people come making like 2K a month with huge followings, because they've, taken advice from a social media coach who, yes, has helped them build this incredible following, which is great, but it's not full of people that they can actually sell to, because, the people aren't buying. Okay. And they've maybe no tactics for actually, finding the ICPs in that audience to get them across the line. Okay. So again, just make sure that when you are putting content out, whatever it is, you're putting it out to people that will actually give a fuck. Right. So another thing that you can do to find qualified leads, and one thing that helped me massively over the years, was the power of networking and referrals. If you're not in some kind of network in your industry, you're hugely missing out. If you're this lone wolf that wants to sit in their bedroom all day, and I don't know if you're an online coach or whatever you're doing, you're maybe a high ticket closer, whatever, you're just sitting there working by yourself. You're not networking with anybody. You're just work, and then you hang around with your friends that have nothing to do with what it is you do. You're missing out massively. Some of the greatest growths in business I've had have been part of networks where I've been referred on to other people. So to give you an example, when I first, I had my business journey, it started with a startup. I pivoted that into a marketing agency that worked in the same niche as what my startup was, which is fitness. And I had joined a business mentorship program for the startup. But then when I pivoted into my marketing network, my marketing agency, people already knew me in that network. They knew they could trust me. They knew what I was all about. Then what happened was when I pivoted my business into something else, then I started getting customers in that network immediately, because they were like, well, actually, I need help with that. And I know you and I trust you. I'm going to come to you for this and you can help me with it. And I was like, yeah, great. And then I get a couple of those guys results. And then the next thing, they're telling everyone in that network, and everyone they know about me, it's like, oh, well, I've actually scaled to 10, 20K because Steven's been doing my ads and he's been helping me with my marketing and whatever else. And then everyone wants that magic pill, right? So you just start getting, I didn't do any advertising. I barely even did social media. And I created a 6-month business within a six-figure business within 8 months. So within 8 months, I went from 0 to my first 100K. Within the second month, I was already on track to have a 6-figure business, because my first month I did 4K. My second month I did 10K. And I very rarely drop below that 10K rate in the coming months after that. I had some peaks and troughs, but yeah, within 8 months, I'd made 100K from absolute scratch. And that was all down to the power of networking and referrals. I barely posted on social media at all. I ended up hiring a social media agency to post for me. I would just give them stuff that I wanted to talk about. They would go away, they would create the posts, they would create, and it got almost no traction. I almost got nothing, no sales from that whatsoever. Because around that time was when TikTok started, Reels started taking off, and I kind of got late to the game with the whole sliding photos and stuff like that. So all of my business was built on networking and referrals. And it actually stayed that way for a long, long, long time. With that business, I never posted a single reel. Everything was like static posts, very few call to action. Like everyone was from referrals. Everybody that got a great result told somebody else and they came in. And I stayed within business. I eventually left that business network and I ended up in another one. And again, the same kind of thing happened. One person got a great result with me. I got more referrals. I got more, networking in with people. I started to become very well known in the industry. I then ended up getting really big clients because a really big client would see a smaller client's ads and be like, fuck, they rock. Who's doing those for you? Well, Steven's doing those for you. Here's his number, reach out. And I also had a great referral scheme as well, where I would just give people like 500 in cash for a firm, or they would get like an Amazon gift voucher or something like that. But it was like a pretty good referral scheme, that was in place, and people would just send people to me. I would be like, as soon as they signed up, I would send them money. It was great. So, everybody won there, and nurturing those relationships is just going to open up new doors for you. So if you're not in a network right now like that, you need to get in one. Okay. And they cost money to be in. They're not cheap. I mean, I'm in a business network right now that I pay over $60,000 a year to be in. And to be honest, the amount of value that I get from just the networking alone, I could just never leave it. I could never leave it. How else am I going to be in a room with these genius people? It's impossible. So if you're not in a network like that, you need to get in a network like that. In saying that, you have to actually follow through. You have to have good results. You have to be great at what you do, because the flip side could be if you go into a network like that and you fuck anybody over, that is going to spread quicker than you doing a good job. So if you do a bad job, that'll spread much faster than you doing a good job. And that has happened not with me, obviously, that has happened in the network I'm in right now. There was guys in there that were really well thought of, launched a new business, took in a lot of the business in that network, shit the bed with all of them. The next thing, like, they're blacklisted, right? So you've also got to be careful with that as well. So I would recommend getting into those networks. I maybe wouldn't recommend actually doing business with anybody until you're 100% sure that you can serve those people. Because the last thing you want is like bad reviews as well. So you could even do like a free case study with someone, like test the waters, or a money back guarantee with someone to like test the waters to begin with, someone you trust. And if you get a bad, if they're like, look, bro, I actually didn't think that was great, then you give them their money back, or you never took money off them in the first place, and you just go, look, cool, appreciate it. And then you know that maybe you don't go after any other business in there because you don't want to fuck yourself over. So, but that is very, very key. You got to be in a business network of some sort. If you're not networking, if you're not growing, you're not learning off other people, you're just going to stay static for a long, long, long time. So it is a great way to get qualified leads. I've seen other people in the network I'm in right now, they didn't join it to try and get leads, and their business has went like this because they literally just getting leads. They've done a good job for somebody else in there, and it's just referral after referral after referral after referral after referral. So that can be really powerful for you. Okay. Moving on, another thing you can do is crafting a really compelling lead magnet. And again, that's going to be really important to loop back to the ICP. If you can create a lead magnet that provides value in exchange for contact information, that could be free trials, the informative ebooks, and you can just develop resources that resonate with your ideal customer, it's going to draw them into your sales funnel. Okay. So you want to spend a lot of time creating these lead magnets. Think about what your ICP wants. Okay. So again, if you're in a particular industry and you just do like this generic lead magnet that can like appeal to anyone, you're going to get loads of shit leads. Okay. Whereas if you have a really hyper focused lead magnet that would only be, relevant to that guy with the Rolex that drives a Ferrari and is, he's 40 years old and this, that, and the other, right? That's who's going to download it. Okay. And then that's going to create like genuinely good qualified leads for you. Okay. Whereas, like I said, if you just make it broad, you make it generic, whatever. And I've made that mistake before. Like in the coach's mentorship, we had a lead magnet running that it was basically all about like growing your social media following, because my business partner, Tony, is one of the greatest social media guys on earth right now. His following has just exploded. He's an incredible social media coach, as well as a business mentor as well. Like he's helped hundreds of people grow their following as well. But the mistake we made was we only want fitness coaches. So the lead magnet we put out was like, this is how I've grown my following by 80,000 people in 30 days. And even though the content on the inside of it was all to do with fitness coaches, okay, it wasn't really relevant for anybody else. People just saw the ad and ignored any talk of the fitness stuff and just thought, oh, I'll download it anyway, because even if there is some fitness stuff, I'm sure I can, work my way around that, right? And we ended up with thousands of leads from this lead magnet. But we'd be calling people up, emailing people, and then they'd be like, oh, I'm not even in the fitness industry, or I'm this type of coach, or I'm that type of coach, or whatever. Just ended up being like really shit leads, okay? So we had to go back to the drawing board and be like, right, well, what's a different lead magnet that we could run that's only going to be relevant for fitness coaches? Nobody else is going to want it, right? So that's what you got to do as well when you're creating your lead magnets. For me personally, I would be looking to create a minimum of 4 per month if you've got the time to do that. Create like 4 new ones per month and just put them out there. Get rid of the ones that don't work. The ones that don't fly, abandon them. Just get them out there, because that's going to resonate with the coaches or whoever it is that you want, right? I'd much rather pay a much higher cost per lead, knowing that the person at the end of that lead is a qualified lead that I can actually sell to, than putting out a lead that people are downloading it for like 5 cents a pop, and you're like, holy shit, this is incredible, look how many leads I'm getting, and they're just completely random people, right? So I know a guy that's posting 20 new lead magnets every single month. Now, he's got a full-time team doing that for him, but that's a guy that's making like over $1 million every single month, 20 new lead magnets a month. Whatever ones don't work, they get binned and just replace them. Bang, 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 bang. 20 new lead magnets every month, just attracting his perfect ideal customer. It's insane. So at least 1, I'd recommend at least 4. If you can do as many as 20, then you might get to your $1 million months a lot quicker, because I've seen it happen. So once you got your lead magnets all lined up, get those out there. Make sure that you follow your ICP. Now, this is the next thing that's really important. You want to make sure that you're aligning sales and marketing efforts together, okay? I really need to stress the need for a seamless integration between your sales and marketing teams, okay? They need to have an aligned effort around your ideal customer, the lead qualification criteria, and the follow-up processes to streamline the path from lead to close, okay? If your marketing is saying one thing and your sales guys are expecting a completely different thing, okay? Or maybe you are doing both of those roles. If you're marketing to one person and trying to sell to a completely different person, it's gonna fuck you, okay? I can't put it any other way. It's gonna fuck you. It's gonna fuck your sales guy, right? They have to be fully aligned. Your marketing effort has to be going out to the ideal customer, and the sales script needs to be aligned to that ideal customer as well, okay? There has to be a seamless integration between them. There is absolutely 0 point in you marketing to just like this broad audience that's like, just could be anyone. And then your sales guy gets the lead through and he's like, all right, great. I'm talking to we only sell to men that are like 40 years old and I've got a 26-year-old woman in. What the fuck's this, right? And then that causes friction in your team. The sales guys get angry because they're always going to say, oh, the leads are shit, okay? And actually, in some cases, the sales guy can be right because maybe the leads are shit, okay? Now, we all hate hearing from our sales guys that the leads are shit because you're like, well, I fucking spent money to go get those leads. Don't give me that shit. Like, fucking close people. That's your job. But sometimes if the marketing is not aligned with the sales team, then they actually have a very valid point. You are giving them shit leads, okay? It's not hard to get people on a call. Appointment setting is not a particularly difficult skill, okay? Now, there is good appointment setters and bad appointment setters, but overall, if you've got a good script, like what we give to our clients, like you're going to be able to get somebody onto a call fairly easily. People will take calls out of just morbid curiosity. They're like, yeah, you know what? I'll take a call. I'll see how it goes, right? People will take those calls just to be curious, okay? And your sales guy is left wasting an hour of his time speaking to somebody who's unqualified, that's never going to buy. And then that creates just an angsty environment, okay? So just make sure that your marketing efforts are matching your sales efforts, okay? So let's recap that stuff. The first thing we want to do is make sure we've mapped out our ideal customer profile, okay? We want to then translate into social media as a lead gen tool. So we want to take that ICP, create a social media account that produces content all for that ICP, okay? That ICP is the only thing that social media page is about, okay? You want to join a business network. Okay, you want to, use your networking skills, okay, to find new business, okay? And you also want to make sure that you can get referrals in that business network, or as a minimum, get referrals from your existing clients, okay? Because the people that refer to you are going to be incredibly high qualified leads. You want to make sure that you're creating lead magnets that go directly to your ICP at all times. So again, this is something that your ICP is going to look at and think, fuck, this is great. And also, if this is what I get for free or $7, or, if you want to try and self-liquidate, what do I get when I join the full thing, right? And then lastly, you want to make sure that your marketing efforts are in alignment with your sales efforts, okay? So again, everything marketing is going out towards your ICP, all right? If it's going out to anybody else, it's going to attract shit leads. It's going to piss off your sales guys because you're giving them like unqualified, unclosable leads. And ultimately, once we can get this really, really, really dialed in, okay, then we can start to ramp up ads, and it's just going to lead to like more qualified leads coming in. And yes, when you start to do heavy ads, you will get some shit leads as well. But ultimately, you want to have your sales guys' diaries like filled out with at least 80% plus of qualified leads so that they're not wasting their time. You do not want them to have a full diary with completely unqualified leads that just sucking the energy out of them. They're crap leads. They're not going to buy, because what's going to happen is your sales guy is going to have all his energy sucked out of them. He's going to get frustrated. And then see, when he actually does get a qualified lead, he's in shit form. He's not on his game. He's expecting it to be another shit lead. And then what happens is they actually fumble that sale that could have been closed. So that's all I've got for you today. It's a slightly shorter episode than usual, but I wanted to give you just specific action tips that you can take away and just do right. Do now. I want you to go away and do this shit, okay? So if you've looked at your Instagram and it's not matching up, if you don't have an ICP, go and build out your ICP. Go and set your Instagram to be exactly like that. Look into business networks in your industry, in your niche, ones that you can join. Also, there's sometimes opportunity. If you can provide value, sometimes a business network will want you in as like a coach. That helped me for a long time, as I joined business networks as actually like a marketing coach. So I was coaching people on Facebook ads within business networks. So I wasn't paying to be in them. I was a coach in them, and I got referrals from that. So if you're a high ticket closer, like maybe there's a business network that needs a closing coach, okay? There's loads of opportunities for you out there, okay? And if there's not, you find one in your niche that you can join, you can be a part of, you can pay to be a part of, and meet other smart salespeople that, or maybe not even necessarily smart salespeople, but other smart business people that you could potentially serve them. Get all those lead magnets sorted, get everything aligned, sales and marketing, and go to work. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one.